This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
It is 5 o'clock here on your Wednesday, and good morning to you. I'm Lauren Casey. Here's what's making headlines on this May 27th. As the pandemic continues, we like to share stories of survival, but the battle doesn't end at the hospital. Why a former patient says the recovery can take a big toll on mental health for ICU patients. It is allergy season here in Indiana, causing many people to cough and sneeze. We talked to doctors about how to know if the symptoms are instead related to COVID-19. And Purdue continues to prepare for in-person classes in the fall, the new plan they released to keep students safe this upcoming semester. But first, it is 5 o'clock here. We need to get a check of your forecast. Storm Team 6's Todd Clausen is working from home right now with the radar behind him, which is never a great sign. Todd, what's going on out there?
Yeah, I usually don't show you the radar all that often, and there's not a whole lot going on, or at least first right off the bat here, Lauren. But we're starting to bring in some heavier downpours already across central Indiana this morning, and they're getting more numerous as we go throughout the course of the past couple hours. So let me show you exactly where the rain is falling. No lightning here to the north, but heavier downpours moving through Madison County, down now into towards the Fishers area, Fortville as well. A few lightning strikes just to the east of Greensburg, and then there's a few downpours now starting to fill in near Franklin, over towards Edinburgh and Shelbyville and Rushville. And these showers and storms will continue to make their way off towards the northeast, or northwest rather, kind of opposite direction is what they normally go. Nothing severe here, but we'll keep an eye on them for you. We'll deal with showers and storms off and on. In between them, though, plenty of hazy sunshine. And with that hazy sunshine and the humidity that'll be around, we'll see high temperatures eventually climb up into the upper 70s to low 80s. Depending on where you are, it's probably staying in the upper 70s if you get more in the way of rain. If you stay dry or easily, Lauren, into the 80-degree range later on today.
All right, Todd, thanks so much. Let's take a look right now at traffic as you're heading out on the roads. This is I-65 down at County Road 600 North. No delays right now on 65 down to the south and parts of Johnson County, all the way up into downtown. Everything, for the most part, is traveling up to speed at this hour, and that is great news if you're heading out on the roads, maybe heading to work this Wednesday morning. At 5:02, new from overnight, homicide detectives are investigating after a person was found dead behind a gas station on Indy's east side. Police were called out to a Citgo gas station at East 38th Street near Keystone Avenue around 10 last night. When they arrived, they found a man unresponsive behind the building. He was pronounced dead at the scene, and police ask anyone with any information to please call Crime Stoppers. That number is 317-262-TIPS. We are continuing to follow the impacts COVID-19 is having on Hoosiers, and the State Department of Health reports 18 new deaths from the coronavirus, bringing the state's total to 1,850. 373 new cases of the virus were also confirmed. Since the pandemic began, more than 32,000 people have been tested positive. More than 230,000 people have been tested, and that's about a 14% positivity rate right now. The Department of Health is also saying about 41% of the state's intensive care unit beds are available. COVID-19 patients are using about 14% of the ICU beds. Non-COVID-19 patients, I should say, are using 45% of the beds. 82% of the state's ventilators are also available. Well, since the pandemic began, we've been bringing you stories of survival, sharing moments where patients hospitalized for COVID-19 finally get to head home. But the battle for many of those patients does not end when they leave the hospital. Our Kelsey Anderson joining us live this morning with more on the mental toll that fighting this virus takes. Kelsey, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Lauren. So because of the stress that patients go through from fighting for their lives, doctors say that this can lead to them having anxiety, depression, and even PTSD. We spoke with Dumari Williams, who was in the hospital for COVID-19. Williams' fight with the virus began toward the end of March, and things got so bad at one point the doctor told him to start getting his affairs in order. Luckily, he did recover enough to leave the hospital on April 19th, but he knew something was wrong.
When I first got out, I still had hallucinations for about 5 days. I fight on a daily basis, but for the most part, it's being controlled. I'm not on medication or anything like that. Just have to work through it each day.
His doctor is working with him on a treatment plan so he can get back to cutting hair once barbershops are allowed to reopen, something he hasn't been able to do since March. Coming up in the next half hour, hear from a doctor on what he says is happening with these mental health issues after people recover from the coronavirus. Reporting live, Kelsey Anderson, RTV6.
Really important topic there, Kelsey. Thank you so much. This morning, we'll learn the next steps in the plan to reopen Marion County. Indianapolis Mayor Joe Hogsett and the county health director will discuss COVID-19 restrictions and guidelines. Right now in Marion County, restaurant dining is only allowed outside. Retailers are allowed to be open at 50% capacity. Public gatherings must be limited to 25 people. Officials have said indoor dining and personal service businesses like salons could resume on June 1st. We will have a live update and full coverage coming up at 10:30. That'll be on the RTV6 mobile app. You can also find that at the IndyChannel.com. So May and June are typically when allergies are the worst here in Indiana. And with the COVID-19 pandemic heightening your awareness and changes to your health, we found out some major differences between symptoms. Our Alyssa Donovan spoke to a doctor to help to differentiate between the two.
Spring is in full bloom right now, and for many of us, that means allergies. And since COVID-19 is at the top of everyone's minds right now, you might be wondering, are my symptoms allergies or are they coronavirus?
About 15 to 30% of our population is allergic in one form or another. It's very common.
Pulmonologist Mason Goodman says the most noticeable symptom of allergies include sneezing, watery, itchy eyes, scratchy throat, and sinus congestion. People with allergies can also experience a dry cough. However, fever, which is common with COVID-19 symptoms, is not associated with seasonal allergies.
But one of the things besides fever that is a common process in people who exhibit symptoms from coronavirus is cough, and that is usually dry and non-productive. Usually it doesn't have sputum associated with that. A sore throat, significantly more intense than what is seen in allergies, is also usually present. Shortness of breath, especially with activity, is a big issue as well. And multiple body aches and pain and fatigue is also present as well.
Gastrointestinal issues have also been reported as a COVID-19 symptom, something you won't experience from your typical allergies. And as far as allergy sufferers being more susceptible or having a more severe case of COVID-19?
Probably somebody that has what is just called seasonal pollinosis, meaning that they have problems that occur only in particular seasons, spring, fall, or whatever. Probably that is not a terribly large risk factor for more severe problems with coronavirus.
About half the people with allergies have an asthma-associated response. Dr. Goodman says people that do have asthmatic issues may be more susceptible to severe symptoms with coronavirus. I'm Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
Alyssa, thank you. Purdue announcing updated plans as it prepares for in-person classes in the fall. The University Board of Trustees approved a plan to reconfigure facilities and capacities to ensure social distancing. That includes installing plexiglass barriers and reducing large classroom sizes to 150 students. They're also adjusting dorms to allow a 6-foot radius per person. The university already announced masks are now required in campus facilities. Online coursework will also be extensively expanded for those who'd prefer to stay home. Speedway High School's 2020 graduation ceremony will surely be one to remember. We're learning more details about this weekend's commencement at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. A procession of cars will go from the school to the track. Each graduate will receive their diploma at the Yard of Bricks. They will then have their picture taken with a race car. The event starts at 12:20 Saturday afternoon. And Todd, I know a lot of seniors are bummed that graduations have been moved online or postponed in some sort of way, but I don't know, this Speedway thing seems pretty cool. I'd almost prefer that.
All right, especially, you know, growing up with the track in your backyard, that's probably an absolutely awesome thing for them. Much better than probably the high school gymnasium, right, if you would ask all the kids. So it's really, really cool. All right, we'll have good weather for that on Saturday as well. The weather right now, not as good as we are dealing with heat, humidity still, and the chance of storms. As we get going here this morning, we already have some rain on radar, and we'll continue to deal with this rain off and on the next few hours with temperatures that are currently sitting staying in the 60s. You could see these downpours making their way through the area, moving off here towards the northwest this morning. So that heavier band of rain that you see near Greensburg, that should eventually make it here into the metro area, as we're just in this very unsettled weather pattern. As far as temperatures, I know you see some yellows, you see some oranges, you see some 70s, you see some 80s. This is just all dependent on whether you see the rain. If you see more in the way of multiple thunderstorms today, temperatures will be in the 70s. If you see more in the way of the hazy sunshine, highs will easily climb up into the low 80s. We'll talk more about the storm chances going forward in this forecast, Lauren, coming up in just a little bit.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Demonstrators are demanding justice for George Floyd, who died while a police officer was kneeling on his neck. Coming up, the punishment being given to the officers involved. And President Trump is known for his tweets, but he's now making accusations against Twitter. Still ahead, why he says the social media company is violating his freedom of speech and meddling in the 2020 election. Let's take a look outside right now at traffic. This is I-465 near Kentucky Avenue, where traffic's moving along up to speed both eastbound and westbound. It is 5:10. We'll be right back after this short break.
Mission begins tonight on ABC.
Welcome back. A tense standoff overnight between protesters and police in Minneapolis. Officers in riot gear firing tear gas at demonstrators who are demanding justice for George Floyd. He died after an officer was seen kneeling on his neck. Several officers involved in that incident have now been fired. We want to warn you, though, that this video may be difficult to watch. ABC's Kenneth Moten has the story.
Overnight, growing outrage in Minneapolis over the death of a black man in police custody. Thousands of demonstrators taking to the streets, blocking intersections as police use tear gas to push back the crowds. So many others marching peacefully, chanting, "I can't breathe," while demanding justice for George Floyd. A video camera captured the final moments of Floyd's life Monday night. The 46-year-old was seen on the ground in handcuffs with a police officer's knee on his neck.
His nose is bleeding.
About 5 minutes into the video, Floyd appears to lose consciousness. EMTs arrive on the scene and check for a pulse while the officer's knee remains on his neck. An ambulance then takes Floyd to the hospital where he's pronounced dead.
They could have tased him. They could have maced him. Instead, they put their knee in his neck and just sat on him and didn't care at all.
Police say Floyd was unarmed and suspected of trying to pass a forged check at a store while appearing to be under the influence of alcohol or drugs. Adding Floyd resisted officers. They handcuffed him and noted he appeared to be suffering medical distress.
We understand that there may be other factors that are involved, but bottom line, the reasonable restrictions or whatever you want to call it, the force that was used is very unreasonable last night.
This morning, the FBI is investigating the case and 4 police officers involved in the incident have been fired.
Being black in America should not be a death sentence. This officer failed in the most basic human sense.
Floyd's longtime roommate says he found out he was dead when he saw the video on social media.
I recognized his voice and then I heard, just recognized his features and stuff like that. So I was kind of shocked.
Kenneth Moten, ABC News, New York.
The time right now is 5:16. President Donald Trump is accusing Twitter of violating his free speech and interfering in the 2020 election when it fact-checked his tweets. He says he won't allow that to happen. For the first time yesterday, the social media site added a fact-check label on 2 of the president's tweets. They claim the mail-in ballots would lead to widespread voter fraud. Beneath those tweets, there was a message reading, quote, "Get the facts about mail-in ballots," which was linking to other articles debunking the claims. Twitter says that the move was to provide context about the remarks, but has not commented on Trump's recent accusations. Congress is shifting its focus for the next relief bill to small businesses. It's something that Democrats and Republicans seem to agree on. Legislators are hoping to help employers reopen shops and survive the rest of the pandemic. Measures that would give small business employers more time to get help for payroll and other costs is expected to pass the House this week. Congress remains split on other topics like how much money should be given to state and local governments for recovery efforts. About 100 more Apple stores will be back up and running today. Only one of those is in Indiana at the University Park Mall in Mishawaka. But even though they're opening, a majority of them will only offer curbside or storefront services. 40 stores nationwide are allowing walk-in customers, but temperature checks and face masks are required for both customers and employees. Apple reopened other retail locations earlier this month. The CDC has new advice for people using public transportation and ride shares. Most of the recommendations shouldn't come as a surprise. Wash your hands, limit contact with the touch surfaces like kiosks and handrails, open windows when possible to improve air circulation, and avoid using pool ride shares. The CDC also recommends trying to travel at non-peak hours and continue to social distance when possible. It is 5:17 right now, and back here in central Indiana, we got to get a check of our forecast with Todd. What can we expect this morning?
You know, already some thunderstorms out there, Lauren, a little different than the past few days where we had dry conditions in the morning, and then we built in all those storms in the afternoon hours. Take a look at where the rain is falling right now, and you can see it's mainly north and east of Indianapolis. We'll show you some heavier downpours now just north of Rushville. There's one just over towards the Shelbyville area, and then there's some heavier rain as you slide down towards the Greensburg area over towards Hope, Indiana, and a downpour just north of Columbus. Not much in the way of lightning here. This is just some plain old rain. And then as we slide now north of Indianapolis, Noblesville, back to Anderson, up to Alexandria, and now into far eastern portions of Tipton County, we are dealing with some heavier downpours making their way through the area. These showers are all making their way, as you see, kind of in a backwards direction from what we typically see, going from the southwest and then moving off towards the southeast, rather, off towards the northwest. So working our way throughout the day, we'll deal with periods of rain. It's very unsettled down to our south. But in between these downpours, there will be some hazy sunshine. So it's just one of those very typical summer days where when you're in the sunshine, it's warm, it's steamy, it's easily going to be in the 80s. But if you're stuck in the cloud cover and some of the downpours, it's going to be a little bit cooler. After this first wave goes through this morning, I do think we get a little bit of a break before more additional storms start to flare up throughout the afternoon and into the evening hours. As far as temperatures today, again, as I mentioned, upper 70s. If you deal with more in the way of rain, if you're in the sunshine longer, you're easily up into the low 80s. I'll say probably about 83 degrees here in Indianapolis. Fast forward now, this is a Thursday morning at 5:30 in the morning, and we're dealing with some spotty showers tomorrow morning as well. Then we get into a little bit of a break in the forecast, only for more additional rain to come in Thursday night into Friday. And it's Friday as the cold front drops through. Watch here on TrueCast how the rain kind of blossoms across the area Friday afternoon. That is the cold front that is going to go through, and that is the cold front that is going to finally break us from the heat, humidity, and the daily chance of storms. Once we get to Saturday onward, it is an absolutely beautiful forecast for us here going forward with lower humidity and cooler temperatures. Until then, though, you're definitely going to need to have the umbrella handy today through Friday, and with the additional showers and also cloud cover as we work our way into Friday, Lauren, we're looking at temperatures that will be a little bit cooler. No longer will we be getting up into that 88 to 90 degree range like we were the past 2 days.
All right, Todd, that sounds good. Thank you so much. Let's take a look right now at traffic along Interstate 74. This is out at Post Road to our southeast. You can see traffic there. It's picking up a little bit eastbound and westbound. No delays to slow you down. So let's take a turn across town, head to the north side, I-465, a view near Michigan Road. Same story here. Traffic is picking up just a tad, but it is traveling smoothly. No crashes here to slow down your Wednesday commute. It is 5:21. The nation's largest retailer is getting into resale business. Walmart announcing it's partnering up with the platform ThredUp to sell previously owned apparel along with other items. The company says as many as 750,000 items will go up online for sale as new or like new. Right now, the merchandise will only be sold on its website, walmart.com. The retailer states that shoppers who buy the resold items will be able to return them at brick-and-mortar Walmart stores for free. The countdown is on for SpaceX Crew Dragon to take to the stars this afternoon. And during the final preparations yesterday, one large reptile wanted to join in. Take a look here. A 6-foot alligator was spotted near the launch site. Media crews caught it on camera while they were setting up at the Kennedy Space Center. This launch will be the first ever crewed mission for SpaceX and the first from the U.S. soil to enter the Earth's orbit in nearly a decade. State. It's set to take off around 4:30 this afternoon. Well, Indiana man is poking fun at Michigan's COVID-19 restrictions with big billboards after the break. His message to those crossing the border to enjoy the Hoosier State. It's 5:22. We'll be right back.
Working for you.
Welcome back. An Indiana businessman has something to say about Michigan's coronavirus restrictions, and he's poking fun at them in a big way. He bought 2 digital billboards greeting drivers heading in and out of Michigan. The one for cars heading towards Michigan asks drivers if they're sure they want to go to Michigan. The sign for traffic coming into Indiana welcomes Michiganders to a free-to-roam state.
Just get people thinking and let them know that the great state of Indiana is getting open for business, and we welcome them to come down.
Swick's not sure how long they'll keep it up, and he feels the message is getting across. That area near Angola saw a lot of people coming over from Michigan over the holiday weekend. He says the boards have been a fun experiment. All right, if people are maybe heading around town looking for something to do, Todd, on this Wednesday, what's the forecast like? I think a lot of people want to get out and about this week now that it's warmer.
You know, a little bit of everything in the forecast today, Lauren. We have some heat. We have a lot of humidity for everybody. We have some sun, but we also have some storms, and some of those storms already out there on Storm Team 6 radar. You can see it's pretty active, especially on the eastern and northern portion of central Indiana. Some downpours here near Alexandria as well as Noblesville. The heaviest batch of rain, no stretches from Connorsville now to Rushville to Greensburg. This is going to be making its way here off towards the north, going to come pretty close to the metro area. But definitely Knightstown, Morristown, Centerville going to get into some pretty heavy rainfall throughout the course of the next half hour. We'll talk more about this rain coming up when Good Morning Indiana continues.
Home experts at theindychannel.com. This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Now at 5:30 here on Good Morning Indiana, another Indianapolis child struck by gunfire, the 3rd case in less than 2 months. The message from police this morning. And
there's some nightmares going on. There's some other mental stuff that goes on.
Patients recovering from the coronavirus are now finding themselves facing another unexpected battle. This morning, one man shares a new physical and mental issue he's dealing with after beating COVID-19. Those stories and more are coming up right here on Good Morning Indiana. But first, we want to welcome you in. I'm Lauren Casey. Todd Clausen is reporting from home with the radar to his side. And Todd, what can we expect as people head out the door this Wednesday?
Yeah, Lauren, you can see the radar is pretty active in spots already, especially here as you work your way down towards Greensburg and then continue south towards the Cincinnati area. And we're going to be dealing with these showers and storms off and on throughout the course of the day today. We'll start you here in northern locations where we have a few downpours stretching from Madison County to Tipton down into Noblesville and Hamilton County. But the real batch of heavy rainfall, even a few lightning strikes, stretches from Connorsville over towards Liberty, Indiana, now into Rushville, and some downpours from Shelbyville back towards the Edinburgh area. And this is all going to continue to work its way towards the metro area and points to the north. So a few of you will hear some rumbles of thunder. A lot of you will probably hear the heavy rainfall making its way through the area. And we'll just kind of go back and forth here off and on throughout the day today, Lauren, with some storms, and then we'll get into some sunshine. When you're in the sunshine, temperatures will quickly warm. About 83 degrees today. So today's just one of those unique days where you probably need the sunglasses, but also if you're going to be running errands, I would have that umbrella handy in the car throughout the course of the day today.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Let's take a look right now at traffic as you're heading out on the roads. Taking you out right now to Greenfield. Good morning to you. This is a live look at I-70 Interstate Road 9. Traffic is moving along up to speed in this spot. No major delays or issues to slow you down. So let's take a turn right now to the near south side, south of the downtown area. This is I-65 and Keystone Avenue, where we have that ongoing road construction, shifting traffic in the northbound lanes and restricting lanes also southbound. Exit ramps remain open, and be careful as you're merging onto the interstate here as well with the traffic shifting taking place. Watch for crews in that area throughout the day as well, as it is an active construction zone. New from overnight, homicide detectives are investigating after a person was found dead behind a gas station on Indy's east side. Police were called out to the Citgo gas station at East 38th Street near Keystone Avenue around 10 last night. When they arrived, they found a man unresponsive behind the building. He was pronounced dead at the scene, and police ask anyone with any information on what happened here to please call Crime Stoppers. That number is 317-262-TIPS. Police are also investigating after a baby was struck by a stray bullet. We're told the child is expected to survive. This all happened at an apartment complex near 38th Street and Post Road around 6:45 last night. Officers found the 10-month-old boy with a graze wound to the knee. Investigators believe that a bullet fired from the parking lot went through 2 walls and then struck the baby inside the apartment. This is at least the 3rd time in just less than 2 months that a stray bullet has struck a child here in Indianapolis.
It's very frustrating for us. We're out here all the time, and we're trying to, make sure that nobody gets struck, and then at totally random, because somebody's out there shooting for no good reason, hitting people's houses. A lot more people could have been hurt. We're just very happy that that baby only got grazed in the leg.
The infant was rushed to Riley Hospital for Children, and as of this morning, there are no reports on any arrests. But in other cases, recent cases, 2 young people were killed by stray bullets here in separate shootings. Police say 16-year-old Nia Cope was riding in a car with her family near 38th and Arlington when she was shot on May 3rd. And detectives say that 8-year-old Roderick Payne Jr. was just eating dinner in his own home on North Tacoma Avenue when he was shot and killed. That was back on March 31st. If you have any information about any of these investigations, you can report tips anonymously. Just call Crime Stoppers at 317-262-TIPS. We do want to get to the latest now on how the coronavirus continues to impact Hoosiers and their families. The State Department of Health reporting 18 new coronavirus deaths yesterday. The total number of COVID-19 deaths in Indiana is now sitting at 1,850. The state also confirms 373 new cases of the virus. More than 32,000 Hoosiers have been diagnosed with the coronavirus since the pandemic began. Here's a look at now how the coronavirus deaths in Indiana have progressed over the last several days. Health officials say the numbers appear to be on a downward trend, but they do warn the number of reported deaths still spans a few days, so the trend may still be sorting itself out. The State Health Department releases new information every day around the noon hour, and of course we'll pass it along to you just as soon as the latest numbers are released. Well, since the pandemic began, we've been bringing you stories of survival, sharing moments that patients hospitalized for COVID-19 finally get to head home. But we know the battle for many of those patients doesn't end when they leave the hospital. And so our Kelsey Anderson joins us live this morning with the mental toll fighting this virus takes on patients. Kelsey, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Lauren. So for some people who are fighting the coronavirus, they don't think that they'll make it out of the hospital alive, which no doubt, of course, has a lasting impact on their mental health. Dr. Babar Khan works with ICU survivors at the Critical Care Recovery Center at Eskenazi Health Services. He says mental health issues are very common for those who have been in critical care for days, maybe even weeks, like a lot of the COVID-19 survivors.
Because of being exposed to extreme stress, they can develop symptoms of anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress disorders.
Dr. Khan hopes doctors caring for patients who've recovered from COVID-19 will start asking questions and begin working on treatment plans that will help them regain a sense of normalcy. Now, if you are feeling any symptoms of anxiety, depression, or PTSD, it's important that you reach out to your healthcare provider as soon as possible. Reporting live, Kelsey Anderson, RTV6.
Kelsey, thank you for that report. Well, we know spring is in full bloom, and for many of us, that means allergy season comes with it. But with COVID-19 at the top of people's minds, you may be wondering, are my symptoms allergies, or are they the coronavirus? Our Alyssa Donovan found out.
May and June are typically when allergies are the worst here in central Indiana. And with the COVID-19 pandemic heightening your awareness of any changes in your health, we found out what the major symptom differences are between coronavirus and seasonal allergies. About 15 to 30% of our population suffers from allergies. Pulmonologist Mason Goodman says the most noticeable symptoms of allergies include sneezing, watery, itchy eyes, scratchy throat, and sinus congestion. People with allergies can also experience a dry cough. However, fever, which is a common COVID-19 symptom, is not associated with seasonal allergies.
And that is usually dry and non-productive. Usually it doesn't have sputum associated with that. A sore throat, significantly more intense than what is seen in allergies, is also usually present. Shortness of breath, especially with activity, is a big issue as well. And multiple body aches and pain and fatigue is also present as well.
Dr. Goodman says as of now, there's no proof that anyone with seasonal allergies is more susceptible to catching the coronavirus or will have more severe symptoms if they catch it. He says if you're experiencing any symptoms that you think might be COVID-19 related, you should call your doctor and set up a virtual appointment. I'm Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
Thank you, Alyssa. It is 5:38. In just a few hours, we'll learn the next steps in the plan to reopen Marion County. Indianapolis Mayor Joe Hogsett and the county health director will discuss COVID-19 restrictions and guidelines. That's at 10:30 this morning. Right now in Marion County, restaurant dining is only allowed outdoors. Retailers are only allowed to be open at 50% capacity. Public gatherings must be limited to 25 people. Officials have said indoor dining and personal service businesses like salons can resume on June 1st. Look for live coverage of today's update on the RTV6 app. Right now, it is time to get a check of our forecast with Todd Clausen. We're midway through the work week. Todd, what can we expect today?
You know, more in the way of rain today compared to the past few days where it was just spotty, Lauren, and we're already getting into some of that rain. Today's one of those unique days where you need the sunglasses at times, but also need to have the umbrella handy as well. Here's a live look at Storm Team 6 radar, and you can see this one band of really heavy rainfall now stretching from Connorsville into Rushville and kind of nosing up there towards the Greenfield area with a lightning strike making its way into the far eastern portion of Hancock County. The heaviest of this rain is probably going to stay just to the east of downtown Indianapolis. It's kind of making its way up towards Greenfield and then eventually towards the Newcastle area as we work our way closer towards the top of the hour. But I do think some of these other downpours that are over towards the Shelbyville area, they will make it towards Indianapolis. There's some downpours to the north, and it's just one of those days where we'll kind of toggle back and forth between these downpours and some hazy sunshine. Rain chances do ramp up, though, Thursday and Friday. In fact, there could be some heavy rainfall Thursday and Friday as the cold front comes through and kind of wrings out all this moisture we have in the atmosphere. But you notice the rain chances for Saturday, 0, and that'll carry into the rest of your weekend as well. More on that coming up in just a little bit.
We want to see them charged. We want to have them arrested.
The family of a Minnesota man who died after a confrontation with police is demanding justice. Why they are calling on the officers involved, murderers. The time right now is 5:40. Stick around. We'll be right back. Dupixent. Protests erupting overnight in Minnesota after a man died while in police custody. Now officials there in the state, from the governor to local leaders and a sitting U.S. senator, are condemning the actions of 4 Minneapolis police officers now fired for their involvement in that man's death. The incident was also caught on video, and we do want to warn you that some viewers will find this video disturbing. Reed Binion has the latest.
Protesters in Minneapolis clashing with police after the death of a black man following an arrest in which a white officer held him down with a knee pressed to the back of the man's neck. Part of the incident was caught on camera. George Floyd, 46, is heard pleading with police, saying he couldn't breathe.
I can't breathe. I can't move.
I've been waiting the whole time.
My stomach hurts. My neck hurts. I can't breathe.
Floyd continued to plead with officers for several minutes before becoming silent, later dying at the hospital. The video didn't capture the incident leading up to the arrest, or parts of the arrest police describe as the victim resisting. 4 Minneapolis police officers were fired for their involvement in Floyd's death. The city's police chief announcing their terminations Tuesday.
I've made that decision this afternoon. This is still an ongoing criminal matter that the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension is investigating, as well as our FBI.
The city's mayor backing up the chief.
I support your decision 100%. It is the right decision for our city. The right decision for our community is the right decision for our Minneapolis Police Department.
I'm Reed Binion reporting.
You cannot fan the flames and then condemn the fire.
Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear addressing an effigy of himself hung outside of his residence this past weekend, blaming in part politicians who rallied with protesters against his coronavirus policies. The effigy was hung Sunday. Beshear, a Democrat, said that members of the right-wing militia group, the Three Percenters, left in front of the Capitol during a rally and walked through the barriers up to the governor's mansion. He also noted that two of his children, who are 9 and 10 years old, were not home when this happened, but he said the group gathered right beside where they would normally play outside. He condemned the actions as a message of intolerance and hate.
So let's start by calling it what it was and what it is. Actions aimed at creating fear and terror. Crossing over barriers, standing on the other side of the glass from where I raised my kids, and hanging me in an effigy. That's an action intended to use fear to get their way.
Several Kentucky political leaders on both sides of the aisle came out in support of Beshear, condemning the actions of that group. It is 5:46. History will be made today. You can see the launch pad behind me here. This is Cape Canaveral, Florida. They're ready to blast off 2 American astronauts into space. If the launch goes on as planned this afternoon, it'll be the first time that American astronauts launch from U.S. soil in 9 years. Maya Rodriguez spoke with one of the astronauts who knows exactly what they'll be experiencing and why this mission is so significant.
Nose gear touchdown.
When the Space Shuttle Atlantis returned to Earth in 2011, it marked the end of NASA's legendary Space Shuttle program.
The Space Shuttle pulls into port for the last time.
Astronaut Rex Walheim was part of its 4-person crew.
I remember the night before we came home, our commander said, this is it. This is the last time people be eating dinner here inside a space shuttle.
But now a new era of spaceflight is set for launch. On Wednesday, 2 NASA astronauts are scheduled for a historic mission called Demo 2, involving a SpaceX rocket and Dragon capsule. It's the first time a private company is launching NASA astronauts to space, and the first time in 9 years that American astronauts are departing from U.S. soil.
Because we really want to increase access to space, and that's what this does.
The astronauts undertaking this mission are Robert Benkin and Doug Hurley.
After 5 years of, every day working on this program, I think Bob and I are only 2 of many people that are ready to get this thing airborne.
3 good auxiliary power units, 3 good fuel cells, 3 good main engines.
9 years ago, Hurley was on board that final space shuttle mission with Walheim.
It's neat to see him go up there and be able to be in space again.
And Walheim knows exactly what awaits this crew on launch day.
About 6 seconds before launch, the main engines come up, and that vehicle starts shaking like it's coming apart. It's just amazing.
An experience he hopes will touch people watching in the U.S. and around the world during this difficult time.
It's hard enough trying to send people in space, but to try to send people in space during a pandemic, it makes it extra hard. It shows what we need to do down here today. When we have such a big crisis going on, we'll get through it, but we'll get through it through cooperation.
Working together here on Earth and high above. I'm Maya Rodriguez reporting.
All right, well, here's another live look right now at the launch pad. The launch is set for 4:33 this afternoon, weather permitting. ABC News will provide live coverage here on RTV6 starting at 3 p.m. The astronauts are expected to spend at least a month on the International Space Station. So, Todd, we're hoping that launch happens this afternoon. It'll be really cool to watch live, but this is all weather permitting. You say Florida's been pretty wet, and they do have some stuff going on in the forecast today, so we'll have to stay tuned for that.
Yeah, they'll take all the precautions there, Lauren. If there's any threat of weather, they're probably going to scrap that and push it to Saturday as their next opportunity. But hopefully there's a window there and they can get that launch off. But yeah, there's definitely thunderstorms in the forecast in Florida and here in central Indiana. In fact, we're dealing with some of these thunderstorms already. Been watching this tower camera looking off towards the east, and at times you can see a little bit of lightning. That lightning and the flashes that you could potentially see is over in the Knightstown area. That's how far off towards the east it is that camera is looking. And as we go over to Storm Team 6 radar, we'll zoom in and show you exactly where this heaviest rain is. And there's the lightning strike right here. I'll circle it for you that we were picking up on the camera. But you notice additional lightning strikes, a lot more numerous just south of Richmond, a little further to the east. But heavy rainfall from Connorsville to Rushville this morning. And then we'll slide a little further off towards the southwest, Fairlands, and to Shelbyville, down towards Taylor Taylorsville and into the Edinburgh area. We're dealing with some showers, and then off towards the north, some downpours, but no lightning in Tipton as well as Alexandria. So the heaviest of this rain and the thunderstorm action is probably going to stay off towards the east. It's probably going to be between these two yellow lines that I drew on your screen, although I do think the metro area will get into a little bit of rainfall here this morning, but Indianapolis probably avoids that real heavy rainfall. But down to our south, it's just a very unsettled pattern that we have in place. And you can see all the showers and storms here down to our south. And at times, they are going to just rotate through the area. So it's just one of those days where you have the hazy sunshine, you're needing the sunglasses, it's warm and it's muggy throughout the entire day. And then all of a sudden, there'll be some downpours around. But there's a lot of dry hours. You can get out and go for that walk, drink plenty of water. But just know that there will be some storms, and they could flare up pretty quickly here throughout the day on a scattered basis, with temperatures that'll be in the upper 70s, where there's a little more in the way of cloud cover, but low 80s where we hang on to the sunshine just a little bit longer. Now, fast forward to TrueCast tomorrow, it's more of the same. However, for tomorrow and then especially into Friday, that's when the showers and storms will become the most numerous as the cold front starts to work its way through the area. And you can see Friday, especially by mid-afternoon, we're dealing with quite a bit of rainfall. But once that front goes through, it's an absolutely beautiful stretch of weather for the last weekend here in May. We are looking at temperatures in the low 70s, lots of sunshine, low humidity, and that's going to carry over into much of next week, Lauren, as temperatures eventually get back up to about 80 degrees by Tuesday. But definitely the next 3 days, I would have that rain gear handy as showers and storms move through the area.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Let's take a look right now at traffic as you're heading out on the roads this Wednesday, taking you all the way up to I-69. This is a little north of State Road 38 in the Pendleton area. You can see traffic is moving along up to speed there, picking up also as well on this Wednesday, and looks like we have some wet roads up that way, so use caution. We'll be right back after this short break when Good Morning Indiana continues.
RTV6 is working for you.
Communities across central Indiana are working together to celebrate students as this unusual school year comes to an end. Well, the Carmel Fire and Police Departments helped Long Ridge Estates honor all their neighborhood grads. Organizers say they wanted to do something memorable for those who are missing out on traditional ceremonies.
I just think it's important that these kids have something to remember this event in their life, that this is so different, as we all know, and it's anticlimactic for us who have gone through graduation. We know what it feels like to graduate, and this is just very disheartening that these kids didn't get to have a graduation.
That was really nice of them, and nice of the neighborhood to think about like everything, and they were really nice to do that and to come out and take their time.
I thought it was very great that the fire department and the police department were able to do that. I don't live at home, but I came back because my mom said she put her name in for me, so I came back to enjoy that with my sister. And it's just kind of nice that even though there's so much going on, they're still able to make time to kind of cheer up the community and kind of present a positive message.
Well, very cool, and wishing all the grads up there in Carmel congratulations. Todd, if any graduation parades or maybe open houses outdoors are planned for this weekend, it looks like they're going to have pretty decent weather.
If anything's planned this weekend, Lauren, it's absolutely terrific. Saturday and Sunday, a whole new air mass is in place, but we have to get to that air mass, right? And that is to get through some showers and storms. So there's a lot of moisture out there. We have to wring all that out pretty quickly here across the area as this front comes through. And look at these downpours and the lightning strikes from Richmond to Connorsville right now, Rushville, up towards Shirley, some downpours, some more downpours there in Shelbyville, and then up to the north as well in Alexandria. There's a lot of dry hours today. This wave of storms will make its way through the area. Nothing severe. That is the good news. And then we're in hazy sunshine, but additional storms will flare up later on this afternoon. We'll talk about that and dive into your 7-day planning forecast coming up when Raphael joins Lauren and I right here on Good Morning Indiana. Stay with us. We're back in just a couple minutes.